I recently got an email from a student of mine from my online courses, and they asked, what is the better pan to use, nonstick or stainless steel? And many people have an opinion. Now, me personally, I use both. Yes, that's right, I use both. A lot of people say Teflon, oh, it contains PTFE, which is a poly something something something, which is toxic, and you can get Teflon flu from. And that is true if your pan is heated to 572 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than most ovens get in your kitchen. So, yes, while it could be toxic, it may not be all that dangerous in your kitchen. So let's go ahead and review, and what I'll do is I'll even show you how to make your stainless steel pans non-stick as well. But first, let me have a sip of the coffee. Cue the blowing bubbles sound. Okay, so as I had mentioned, I use both pans in my kitchen. There are times when I just prefer the Teflon non-stick pan, and then there's times that I like the stainless steel. Now, this particular stainless steel also has a copper bottom to it as well. So there's a layer of copper for even cooking, and I like that one the best. Now, while it doesn't necessarily heat up the fastest, it does retain a more even heat. One thing I do have to say is that if you are cooking in stainless steel and you find that you're always having problems, for example, sauteing some chicken and it just seems to always stick, it's because you're rushing it. The chicken has not cooked enough to create that Maillard effect. Again, check out the chart over here as what Maillard is. And now Maillard is that, browning on the chicken. So you would have that Maillard effect that tightens up the proteins and kind of creates an air between the pan and your chicken, for that example. And so it would then release a little bit easier with a little finesse, whether from a spatula or a pair of tongs. Now, there's another way to do this, and I'm going to tell you it does not require any oil, and it's called the water test. Now, you can turn your stainless steel into a non-stick pan if you are concerned about those toxic chemicals that are in that pan, and by just doing the water test. Now, the water test is simple. You have your pan on the stove, and you would then take like a tablespoon of water and spoon it on. The way the water reacts is how you know whether or not your pan is hot enough or even too hot that burns your food. So you don't want to get it too hot. So the first step would then heat the pan, obviously. As it's getting warmer, when you drop the water on, it's going to steam and go psss, and eventually evaporate out of the pan. Now, you're getting there, but the pan is not quite hot enough. The next bit of, you just keep doing that with the water. And what happens is, the next step is going to be that the water starts to create almost beads. So it'll evaporate and then create a couple beads. Again, not quite hot enough, but also on your way. And the next step would then be to wait a little bit longer, and then of course your last drops are going to be where the water kind of creates a mercury-like consistency. So it kind of it'll hold itself together and dance well on the pan. And as you're swirling the pan, that water bead doesn't really evaporate too much. It just kind of stays on the pan. So it's a bigger water glob, if you will, and then will be perfect for cooking. So, for example, if you're making scrambled eggs, that's the temperature you want. Now, if you put the water in, and again, you notice I'm doing everything from about a foot height. So after, if your pan gets too hot, what's going to happen is when the water hits, it's going to almost like explode in the pan. It's going to and make like a little firework. And that's when your pan is too hot. And that, my friend, is how you make your stainless steel pan non-stick. get it right up to the perfect temperature. You can use the water test so you're not using too much oil, and you're making it a little bit safer for you and your family by not having any toxic chemicals leach into your food.